Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, April the 27th, 2021. Sagal, David Lahash-Ujuts. Welcome to today's edition of the COVID-19 Task Force Update on this, our 206th edition of Kahnawake 911. On today's show, we'll be hearing from Chief Peacekeeper Dwayne Zacharie and Robin Delaronde, the Executive Director of the KEC. And joining us right now from the Education Center is Robin Delaronde. Robin.
Kahnawà, Dave. What's Onerahtókha, everyone, and I'm pleased to be here again to give a few updates and some advice and encouraging words for community members overall in terms of the situation we're facing directly and indirectly in education in our schools and in the community. So to begin with, I just want to say that overall I want to reaffirm to community members that all the schools within our community have really been focusing on keeping our students safe and our staff safe, and really making sure that the measures that we have put in place have really been at a high standard, and that we're going to continue to keep doing this right up until the end of the school year, and then reassessing, the needs as we plan and prepare for a new school year. So I want to congratulate, first of all, everyone in our schools and at the different schools and community for maintaining that. And our data really tells us that we are doing a good job. With that in mind, I just also want to give a brief update in terms of what has transpired. As you may all know, is that specific to Kahnawake Survival School, there have been 2 cases of positive COVID cases within our school. We all knew, and we all were, keeping our fingers crossed that, this was not going to happen, that we had made our way for quite a long time without having any cases in any of the schools under the KEC umbrella. But we do know and do understand that we did have an earlier case in our step-by-step as well. So, like I said, we knew that these were always going to be risks, and we're really hoping that we would get through the school year for under the KEC of not having any positives, but we did. We had 2 cases, and I just really want to, really clarify to community that this was not considered an outbreak. The 2 cases, when it was thoroughly reviewed through local public health, that it was identified and noted that they were 2 unrelated cases. And we do have to celebrate the fact that local public health and KSS in these circumstances really came together to make sure that measures were implemented immediately, individuals were isolated, contact tracing happened, but really overall what helped prevent any spread was the measures that were put in place too. From the school, and that there was a compliance and guidelines were followed. So really I think people that really need to reflect on that and say, yes, it happened, but we really did stop a potential for any further risk. So I just want to clarify that and acknowledge the hard work and efforts people put in to make sure that things didn't happen and be worse than what occurred. I want to talk right now too and address specifically what we're experiencing at this time is the age group of our young people in the community and what's been occurring in their lives and what we're seeing happening. We do know that we finished a mass vaccination campaign. And we do know that there was only set numbers of vaccine or age group, I should say, availability for our younger teenagers. But we also know that we are seeing the situations where we are now, I guess, more focused and concerned and worried about our youth because of the fact that many of them are not vaccinated, or even younger ones. We don't know really what is possible or what could happen, but we do know there's risks. I want to say that we all have to be mindful that whether it's this time of the year, the weather is nice, we have to understand that our youth, for them more so than anyone else, this is that period of time in their life where social interaction is so important for them. That need to be amongst their social group is important. It's that time when they are disassociating themselves from their parents. They want to find their place. And we have to really keep in mind that perspective of what they're going through during this time of the pandemic, and put ourselves in their place and their experiences, and really look at their mental health and wellness. And I know we have groups working and different support groups there to help them, and really want to say that we need to all come together and maybe work on that and publicize that more, outreach more for our young people. I also want to say that the message I want to give to our young people and to families is that we know there's this need for them. We know they want to go out and associate with their peers outside of school settings. But we want to really put forth a message to you about a reminder now about some of the precautions, some of the measures you can do to help support the youth, to help support the families. For parents, continue to have those discussions with your young, your teenagers, those who are in the younger age group as well. You know that they're going out. We know you give those messages. We know you talk to them, but please continue to talk to them when they leave the door, when they go out. Remind them that they're going out, that to have their masks. Remind them about, yes, if you're going in with your peers and going out and hanging out with your peers, to keep the mask on, social distance, make sure if you have hand sanitizers, go through all those precautions with them. And being young teens, the messaging is to you too, that these are things that you've come to realize that are important for our community, are important for your health too and well-being. And to do that, to make sure that, when you're amongst your peers in this group, be mindful and implement those safety measures and precautions that we've been asking everyone to do. One of the other things that you can do, and maybe we recommend you do, strongly recommend you do, is for parents, if you have a relationship where you could talk with your child, say, who are you with today? Keep your own log of who your contacts have been when you go out, leave your house and are out in the community. The young people, teenagers, you're capable as well. Keep a log of who you've been in contact with as measures that can help support should you be in an instance, in an unfortunate situation where you have to go through that contact tracing. So these are some things now that are more direct messaging to parents, to families, to our youth, that these are some things that you can do to help support and eliminate possible spread of COVID at this time. Other things that I also want to stress and reiterate is that we do have to be respectful to one another and understanding, and to families, to people who are in isolation, to make sure that we are compassionate. We don't know what it's like until it really hits us in terms of a situation where COVID has affected us, so we have to be compassionate to people at this time. So overall, when we reflect on the situation this past year, and I look at education overall, we need to know that it's not just Kahnawake schools where COVID could impact, that it's any one of the schools that our youth, our children attend schools, that this could be something that, impacts everyone. And it's not to say it's a specific school, it's not to say that it's just step by step or KSS. Everyone is doing their best to prevent the spread of COVID. It's happening to schools outside. I know recently you've been hearing the information that there is a rise in the population in schools outside of the community as well. So it's all about this awareness. It's all about knowing what's happening both in Kahnawake and outside, specific to schools. And it's all about just being very vigilant with our young people and giving them the same messages and consistent messages now. So overall, I just want to really reach out. My message was about specific to our youth, to parents, to families, to say that we're all in this together and to give some tips to everyone. In closing, there's a few other initiatives, specific initiatives that I wanted to share with everyone. We all know that as we're coming closer to the end of the school year, the weather is nice, things are happening. There could tend to be that fatigue now where, where you've been in school or you've been in and out, you've been in Zoom, and parents are tired, students are tired. We really want to encourage parents to please don't give up. There's been, people saying, you know what, I'm hearing parents say, I'm tired, my kid is tired, it's nice. We can't give up. You have to please encourage your kids to keep going on Zoom, keep attending classes, be present, and keep that encouragement. And for you as well as parents to keep, reassuring yourself that, you're doing a good job and keep going forward with your children, encouraging them. The other part that we're preparing for as we're coming to the end is graduation. So just to give everybody an update about graduation, how things are occurring is this time last year, all of the schools in Kahnawake were making plans, trying to figure out what graduation was going to look like during this time, this new experience. And we all thought that we kind of would be out of that stage now, but unfortunately we're still in that process of imagining what graduation is going to look like once again this year. So right now, we're gathering all of the graduation plans from each of the schools. They are putting together plans. They will be submitting, and we will be forwarding it on their behalf to the task force to do a thorough review to make sure that the proper safety measures and compliance are in there to make sure this celebration is a very happy celebration, joyful, but really following safety measures still. So when all those plans are verified, each of the schools will be sharing with their respective parents and the staff the information, sharing with them what is planned and their specific dates. So please stay tuned to the school's communication. Another event that we have to look forward to, and this one is specific under the KEC umbrella right now, meaning our 3 schools, is to those parents who have attended one of our 3 schools know that usually, probably earlier this time of the year, one of the big celebrations or events that our sports-minded students attend is the FNEC Games. And normally what occurs is that all of the students who are part of the 21 communities under the FNEC gather and are in a very fun, competitive sports environment where they compete in different events. This is something that all students look forward to, and unfortunately last year, once again, we couldn't partake. This year, the FNEC proposed an alternative to that event. And what they did is what they've now titled as the Ancestors Challenge is an event that they proposed to the 22 communities who fall under the FNEC umbrella. There'll be more information that's going to be shared with parents and community about this event, but basically what it is that it is a traveling type of a Spartan and obstacle challenge event that the FNEC and their employees will come, will set up the event and the obstacles and the equipment. And what they will do is that the different students in their respective bubbles will partake in this event and be timed in terms of the obstacles. So it's something that is, we're really looking forward to. What we had to do was really look at the plans, see if we wanted to partake in that, if it met our standards in terms of safety. It did have to go to the task force to do a thorough review as well, look at it, and it really did pass many of the safety measures, if not all, I should say, not many, but all the safety measures, and complied with our protocol and guidelines. So we are very happy to collaborate with MCK Sports and Recreation, who offered to collaborate with us in setting up this event, hosting the event, and using the sports complex as its main location to run it. So we are going to be giving out further information, but for right now I can confirm that the event will occur the week of June 14th. That it right now does involve our 3 schools under the KEC umbrella. It is under really strict guidelines and protocols, and it is a way to have our students, engage in something that's fun, still respecting the guidelines. So more information is going to be coming to you regarding that. So at this time, this is, all of the information I have to report and to share, and the encouraging words for community. And I would like to say that, wish everyone all the best, and enjoy your evening, enjoy your week. So, Kahnawake.
Thank you very much, Robin. Coming up next is Dwayne Zacharie, Chief Peacekeeper. Dwayne?
Good afternoon. I was asked to come on to the show today to talk about some of the issues that we've been encountering in our community over the last few weeks. And I was really interested in coming on because I think what's happening is, warm weather is starting to come out, and maybe the end of the school year is looming pretty close, and I think people are really feeling the effects of the virus, of the pandemic. And in that regard, they're not really keeping tabs on themselves in relation to the distancing, the masking, the hygiene. Mental health is a huge thing, and people need to get out and be active for sure, and people do need to socialize. So I'm not saying that you can't socialize. What I'm trying to impart to people today, as part of my message, is to be safe, to be responsible for people around you. What's happened so far in Kahnawake since the beginning of the pandemic is the task force has been out there and giving messages and putting out directives, and whether they were rolling back some of the measures or adding additional measures for the safety and security of our community, that's one thing. But I think our success has come from the participation and cooperation of each and every one of you out there. So I'm coming on today to ask for your cooperation once again. Distancing, masking, hygiene, mental health, all of that stuff. And if you're still kind of on the fence about, the vaccination, that type of thing, I would recommend that you figure out a way to get your shot. So over the last few weeks, we've seen an increase in the number of calls we receive. And, people are starting to gather again. People aren't paying attention to the rules that are out there and the rules that are in effect. And over the course of the pandemic, all of you know that the Kahnawake Peacekeepers have been responsible for the enforcement of the rules. And for the most part, we've attempted to use community policing to do that. And what that means is, trying to get your cooperation and getting each and every one of you to follow along for the safety and security of each and every one of us. But it seems like people aren't respecting the rules as much as they should. And with that, more than likely, we're going to have to try and step it up again in terms of enforcement. We will, start with community policing, but at the end of the day, if people aren't going to cooperate, then the last avenue that we have, the last recourse, is for enforcement. And the fines still exist. They're rather expensive. For an adult, the fine is $1,541 for failure to comply. For youth or for minors, the fine is in the neighborhood of $560, right? So it's quite expensive. And none of the Kahnawake Peacekeepers wants to issue the fines, but if you know, a Peacekeeper has to, then he or she will. You know, given the circumstances and their evaluation of a particular issue or incident, then they'll look at that and they'll determine whether or not a fine should be issued. Some of the calls we received are about people gathering. We know that there have been parties, baby showers, that type of thing. The rules that are in place right now are still, if you're having people inside of your home, it's one household. Your household and one other. It's not more than that, it's one household. If you're gathering outdoors, it's a maximum of 8 people. And of course, you have to socially distance, you have to mask, you have to use hygiene, you know, hygiene protocols, and you have to be smart about these things, because even though we just finished our mass vaccination push, you know, and I want to say it was extremely successful, the pandemic still exists, and you know, nothing is 100%, so you still have to follow all those measures to ensure your safety, your security, and of course your loved ones and your community around you. It's vital that you do. The Kahnawake Peacekeepers have a really close working relationship with the Zacharie Memorial Hospital, as well as our local public health, and in that we have lots of conversations about how things are going in our community, and they relay information to us. So if you're a person that's supposed to be under isolation measures, we know who you are. That information is imparted to us, right? It's not a secret in this situation because it is an emergency situation. We do have that in effect, and it's been in effect for quite some time now. So that information is given to us, and if we see you out and about, you know, you're contravening that measure, you could be, or you probably most likely will be issued a fine, right? Depending on where you are, whether you're a minor or an adult. And as I said before, those fine figures, they will have an effect on you. So please, if you have to isolate, do it properly. It's for your security as well as everyone else in the community. You know, outbreaks are kind of a dirty word around here. We don't want to have them. We want to make sure that our vulnerable population is safe and secure. So we're relying on each and every one of you who's watching, and as well as the community. You know, tell everyone that they have to be responsible. It's important. Over the last couple of days, I fielded a number of calls from concerned community members, you know, some elders, some youth as well, you know, and generally people from all walks of life in our community. And they're really concerned about the way things are going in the community as well as around us. And, you know, even though we see some bright spots here and there, if you look around, there's still some really significant pockets of the pandemic in and around our community, and that has effect on us. When you leave the community and you go out and, you know, you interact, or you know, go pick up food, or you shop, all of those things, those are areas where you come into contact with others. Remember, even though our community did exceptionally well during the mass vaccination process, other communities aren't where we're at. They lag far behind us. So the pandemic, you know, it's out there, and the virus is out there, and people could have it, and they don't know. They could be asymptomatic, and even though you've had one shot, you know, it's not 100%. It puts you in a very good position, but still, you have to be very careful about who you come into contact with. That's why we're still pushing all the measures about distancing, masking, the hygiene. You know, it's vital, and you know, if after you've listened to what I had to say today, you feel like maybe I need to get the vaccine, then by all means, contact the task force or the hospital. We'll figure out a way for it to happen, because it's important. So back to that partnership with the hospital and our own public health. So we're in contact all the time. You know, we have a list of names. We're going to be out there, out and about, and looking for it, making sure that people are doing what they need to do, because it's vital to everyone's safety and security. And as I said, you know, people who are concerned in our community are contacting me virtually on a daily basis, and they're telling me about things that are happening in the community. And you know, this is a great thing, and we look forward to this kind of partnership with the community and this type of interaction. And all of that information that comes to me, I immediately disseminate it to the patrol officers, right? And they go out and they do their job. So please, by all means, follow the rules. Know that it's one household indoors, maximum of 8 people gathering. Don't have parties. Don't do those things. It's not time yet. We still need to stay the course. We're doing very well. One of these times I'm going to come on here and say like we're in the home stretch, but we're not there now. You need to follow all these measures and be safe. Now.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. And as the Chief Peacekeeper just mentioned, if you do want your vaccine, you haven't received your first vaccine yet, there's still an opportunity. You can call the Community Protection Unit and put your name, and they're compiling a list right now, and you can reach them at 450-632-0635. And that's it for our show for today. From all of us here, Nyawagoa, Danu, Wanagiwahi.